Yo, what up? It's Carter from the Peekaboo Boxing Academy, and today what I want to talk to you about is confidence. Have you ever walked into a gym and maybe you just didn't feel, that surge of good energy inside of you? You walked in, you felt nervous, you felt tense, you felt anxious. Have you ever done workouts for weeks at a time and, maybe you're a beginner and you're just thinking to yourself, man, I'm not sure if I'm getting this. I'm not sure if I'm improving. Well, today what I want to talk to you about is a simple psychological hack that's going to help you build your confidence. It's a psychological hack that Cus D'Amato had Mike Tyson and all of the other fighters that were living in his house in the 1980s do. And by doing it every single day, you're going to increase not only your confidence, but you're going to increase your skill set as well.
A professional fighter is going to learn how to hit and not get hit, at the same time be excited. That's what professional boxing is about. You gotta be clever, you gotta be smart, and not get hit. And when you're able to do this, you're a fighter.
Alright, so first what I want to talk to you about is actually how I found this technique, and it was actually in this book right here, Iron Ambition, written by Mike Tyson. And what this book is it's basically, a field guide for the up-and-coming boxer, and it has all of the lessons that Cus D'Amato, his mentor, gave him as he was training him to become heavyweight champion of the world. So if you flip to page 78, and don't worry, I'm actually going to read this out for you guys, you're going to see Mike start talking about hypnosis, you're going to see him talking about affirmations, etc. And basically the story starts where he's talking about the fact that Mike would have very emotional reactions to winning his fights. He would, get out of control, his insecurities would overwhelm him, and Cus started to notice this, Teddy would tell him about it. And so what Cus did is he started having Mike hypnotized in Manhattan. So he would, basically pile Mike and, all the other fighters that lived in the house in his, raggedy old station wagon, as Mike puts it. They would drive to Manhattan, and then they would actually, get put under by a hypnotist, and then Cus would actually, speak these affirmations to them and tell them how they were to act when they got in the ring. Right? So it started with that. It started with driving, going out, getting hypnotized, getting his voice in their head. After that, Cus would actually put them under while in the house. And that's where this story picks up right here. Besides controlling your fear and detaching your emotions in the ring, Cus was a big believer in using your mind to bolster your confidence. Cus pushed the idea of doing affirmations, of not only thinking positively, but affirming it daily. Near the end of the Depression, there were two authors who wrote about how you could use positive thinking to succeed in life. In 1936, Dale Carnegie wrote a bestseller called How to Win Friends and Influence People. A year later, a guy named Napoleon Hill wrote a self-improvement book called Think and Grow Rich. In the early 50s, Dr. Norman Vincent Peale wrote a huge bestseller that was a Christian version of positive thinking titled The Power of Positive Thinking. But Cus didn't think much of those guys. He believed that any positive thinking had to begin in your unconscious mind, just like in the Zen archery exercises. Cus had unearthed a book, Self-Mastery Through Conscious Autosuggestion, by a French pharmacist named Emil Coué, that was published in the United States in 1922. It's easy to see why Cus loved this cat. Coué was a brilliant guy who ran his pharmacy from 1882 until 1910. When he retired and opened up a clinic where he treated people for free using optimistic autosuggestion. As a pharmacist, he had seen how the placebo effect worked on some of his customers, so he figured that a steady diet of affirmations could do the same. I have never cured anyone in my life. All I do is show people how they can cure themselves, Coué said. Coué thought that to cure disease, a person's imagination had to be tapped and directed. You possess within you an unlimited power, your unconscious being, commonly called imagination. It acts on matter if we but know how to domesticate it. The imagination may be compared to a horse. Improperly harnessed to your carriage and without a bridle or reins, the horse may perform all sorts of foolish tricks and cause your death. But harness him properly, drive him with a firm hand, and he will go where you want him to. This is the same with your unconscious self. You must direct it for your own good. Sounds a lot like Cus's fear rap. The way that you direct your imagination is by repeating a simple affirmation. Every day, in every way, I am getting better and better. This formula must be repeated in a low voice with the eyes closed, body in a position that permits relaxing and relaxing the muscular system, say in bed or in an easy chair, and in a monotonous tone as if one were reciting a litany. The words must be repeated 20 times, morning and night. You may use a string with 20 knots in it, which serves as an aid in counting just as a rosary does. This material aid is important. It ensures mechanical recitation, which is essential. While articulating these words, which are registered by the unconscious, you must not think of anything in particular, neither of your illness nor of your troubles. You must be passive, with only the desire that all may be for the best. The formula in every way has a general effect. Your desire must express itself without passion, gently and without exertion of your will, but with absolute faith and confidence. The will must not be exercised at all at that moment. Imagination only must come into play. That is the great motive power, infinitely more active than willpower, which is usually invoked. Have confidence in yourself. Believe firmly that all will be well with you. Autosuggestion is implanting an idea in oneself through oneself. Autosuggestion is nothing else but hypnotism and may be defined as influence of the imagination on the moral and physical being of man. The will must not be brought into play when practicing autosuggestion because it is not in accord with the imagination. The key to my method is in the knowledge that the imagination is superior to the will. If both go together in the same direction, as in saying, for instance, I will and I can, they are perfectly in accord. Otherwise, the imagination always wins over the will. We possess in ourselves an incalculable force which is often prejudicial to us if we handle it unconsciously. If, on the contrary, we direct it in a conscious and wise manner, it gives us the mastery of ourselves and enables us not only to save ourselves from physical and mental ills and ailments, but also to help others and to live in comparative happiness under any and all conditions. I started with the affirmations as soon as I moved in with Cus. Day by day, in every way, I'm getting better and better. Day by day, in every way. That was Cus's English translation of Coué's phrase. Some people said every day instead of day by day. Coué spent his life curing his patients with his affirmations, but Cus was using them to build up his fighter's confidence. I used to do my affirmations all day long. I loved hearing myself talk about myself. Cus used to say, you take a guy who has all of the greatest qualities of success, beautiful body, beautiful looks, great sexual endowment, everything is perfect. Well, you take away his confidence and you put him out in life and he will fail. On the other hand, you take somebody who has nothing, absolutely nothing, and you give him the confidence and you throw him in the world, he will succeed. Confidence breeds success and success breeds confidence. Confidence applied properly will supersede genius. Cus didn't stop with affirmations. He plastered the walls of our gym with self-empowering sayings and poems. One of those was a poem called Don't Quit. It was originally titled Keep Going, and it was credited to the poet Edgar Guest, one of the first widely syndicated newspaper writers in America. He had a feel-good column, The Breakfast Table Chat, and on March 4th, 1921, he published the poem. When things go wrong, as they sometimes will, and the road you're trudging seems all uphill, when the funds are low and the debts are high, and you want to smile, but you have to sigh. When care is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must, but don't quit. Life is queer with its twists and turns, as every one of us sometimes learns. And many a failure turns about, when he might have won had he stuck it out. Don't give up, though the pace seems slow. You may succeed with another blow. Often the goal is nearer than it seems to a faint and faltering man. Often the struggler has given up when he might have captured the victor's cup. And he learned too late, when the night slipped down, how close he was to the golden crown. Success is failure turned inside out, the silver tint of the clouds of doubt. And you never can tell how close you are. It may be near when it seems afar. So stick to the fight when you're hardest hit. It's when things seem worse that you mustn't quit. Cus started putting me under in the house. It might be before a training session or even before a fight. He'd have me lie down on the floor of the living room or sit in a big comfortable chair, and he'd start in with the heel method of relaxation. The head, the eyes, the arms, the legs, the heels, all getting heavy. Once I was totally relaxed, he'd go into his rap about me being the most ferocious and elusive fighter the world has ever produced. Sometimes he'd give me more specific instructions. Your jab is like a weapon, like a battering ram. Your objective is to push his nose into the back of his head. You throw punches with bad intentions. You move your head after every punch. You are a scourge from God. The world will know your name from now to the eons of oblivion. I'm not telling you all of this because you are incapable of doing these things. This is not a seance. This is what you are capable of doing. I need you to relax. This is going to help you. It was deep shit, and I believed all of it. Cus didn't even have to be there. I might be in my room and his voice would come to me, almost telepathically. I learned to hypnotize myself, and before a fight in the dressing room, I'd go under and repeat what Cus had told me. Cus had everyone who trained with him doing the affirmations. He would say to each fighter, not everybody becomes a champion, but if you apply these same principles and techniques that I will teach you, you'll become successful no matter what the endeavor. My objective is to develop the person's character so that they have the ability to transcend and succeed no matter where they've come from, no matter how difficult the task. He told us that we could personalize our affirmations so that besides saying, day by day, in every way, I'm getting better and better, we could say, day by day, in every way, I'm getting calmer and calmer, and see more in the ring, and I'm getting better and better. Or every day, in every way, my swollen ankle is getting better and better. Cus had me integrate my hypnotic suggestions into my affirmations, so instead of the less intense, day by day, I'm getting better and better, now I was affirming that day by day I was becoming the most ferocious fighter that the world has ever seen. All day long I'd be saying to myself, the best fighter, nobody in the world could beat me. The best fighter in the world, nobody in the world could beat me. The more I said it, the more I believed it. So the basic affirmation, you repeat it 20 times in the morning and 20 times, when you go to bed at night. It's day by day, in every way, I'm getting better and better. Simple affirmation that all of the fighters that lived with Cus and Mike back in the 80s would repeat daily. Even my trainers over here in Catskill, they repeat the same mantra to this day, and they tell me to do the same. So very simple psychological hack that is going to improve your ability. It's not going to be overnight, but when you exercise, when you exercise this psychological hack, when you repeat it day in, day out for weeks at a time, you're going to see a very large difference. It'll be gradual, but you'll look back to where you started, and you won't be able to believe the progress. So the basic idea is that a lot of us, we tell ourselves that we're great. We tell ourselves that we're confident, that we're the best, but we don't actually believe that. And that's because your unconscious mind is far, far greater than your conscious mind. There's that old saying where, the conscious mind is like the iceberg, and then the unconscious mind is like below the iceberg. And the idea is that, it doesn't really matter what you consciously tell yourself. It matters what your unconscious feels. So you might tell yourself, oh, I'm the greatest fighter ever. I'm going to beat whoever I have to fight. I'm going to win this fight in spectacular fashion. But there's an incongruence because deep down, if you're honest with yourself, you don't believe that. You heard it enough times in your life when you were young, and it got programmed into you, those negative beliefs. You lost your self-trust, you lost your confidence. And by hearing some words of encouragement and giving them, and feeding them directly to the unconscious mind, over time, you're going to change your self-image and change your self-confidence. This book right here, Self-Mastery Through Conscious Autosuggestion by Emil Coué. This is actually Sigmund Freud, it's not Emil, so whoever did this book fucked it up. But you can buy this book on Amazon. Very short book. You could probably read it in 1 to 3 hours. It's 81 pages. This version is at least. So, very simple psychological hack. I hope that you use it. You come back, you tell me all about it and how it's helped you succeed. Thank you so much for being here, and best of luck.